75 days to the December polls. Good afternoon and welcome to Election Brief on your election headquarters with me, Araba Kumsin. Now, barely 48 hours to the end of the voter register exhibition, and pressure is mounting on the EC to address concerns raised by the opposition NDC, as its flag bearer says Ghana is witnessing a legendary incompetence in electoral management.
The incompetence of this electoral commission is legendary.
The Electoral Commission is laying out new COVID-19 protocols for the December 7 elections, including limiting numbers at each polling center to 700.
The maximum that will be allowed at each polling station will be 700. In other words, this registration we undertook, any registration center that has more than 700 people, we are going to split them into A and B.
Also in this edition, headquarters vowed not to allow politicians deceive them with promises ahead of the December polls.
This election, they came out and made a promise that they will build a hostel for Kayai, they will build some factories in our district so that the Kayai people can learn some works so that they will not come to the southern sector here. And if you go to north, there's not any factory in the northern region which they will say that they built this factory just to ease the work of Kayai.
We'll hear from them and examine the promises from the two main parties. And later, pictures of presidential staffer Charles Bissue sporting a swollen eye circulate on social media amid reports of a fight with Takwa and Swayam MP George Miracle Duka. Will bring you a blow-by-blow account of what went down. We're live on your DSTV channel 421, GoTV channel 144 on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. Follow Joy News on TV. We stream on myjoyonline.com. On YouTube, we are JoyNews TV. Stay tuned in. Thanks for staying with us. In barely 48 hours, the Electoral Commission will bring to an end its voter exhibition exercise. Voters have been required in the last 6 days to show up and verify their data captured by the EC. The opposition NDC has described the exercise as chaotic. The party alleges there are widespread instances where voters cannot find their names on the register. The EC, in a statement, admitted to having some challenges, but says it is working to fix it. NDC flag bearer John Mahama insists the EC is displaying, quote, legendary incompetence, end quote.
The political parties are the main stakeholders in any election. And so while the exhibition of the register is going on, we have our agents at all the polling stations supervising the registration. Now, if there was an issue in compiling the register where the codes of the various equipment were found to be duplicates, and it was necessary to issue voters' cards, why were the political parties not informed? And the point even is, if you issue those new voters' cards at your district office, how will the people whose cards are affected know so that they can come and give back the old card and collect the new cards? There's so much wrong going on. The incompetence of this electoral commission is legendary. We have held elections in this country. We have held voters' registrations in this country. But we've never seen a situation where there's so much chaos and disorder in an electoral process. It has the potential to create crisis in our country. And that is why at a point when I spoke, I said that the Electoral Commission should be prepared to take the blame if this country descends into chaos.
Well, the EC is challenging the NDC to request an inter-party meeting as it maintains nothing unusual is happening. Dr. Siriboy Kwako is Director of Elections at the Electoral Commission.
These are normal challenges with registration. The ID card is important. It facilitates the registration. But you can vote without the ID card. If there's something that you don't understand, you can also call request for a past meeting and we'll meet. But the only assurance I want to say is that the challenges are there. We appreciate them. but they are part of the exhibition. That's why we do exhibition and we rectify all the errors and those things. By the time we finish the panel, we'll have a credible one.
Now let's turn our attention on a group calling itself the United Headquarters in the Ashanti region, which is upset with the deceptive nature of politicians. The group says the politicians make juicy promises to them during the electioneering period and dump them after they win power. According to them, they've learned good lessons from the past and they therefore won't allow themselves to be deceived with political promises ahead of the December polls. Meanwhile, Member of Parliament for Asawasi constituency, Muntaka Mubarak, is urging them to take back the respect that they honored to the governing party in 2016. Mohammed Nuruddin has more.
Hundreds of them gathered here at Bola Bola, a slum in the Asawasi constituency. They are yearning for better treatment from politicians who come to them during electioneering season. For them, the governing New Patriotic Party has not fulfilled its 2016 promises to them.
Yes, if you look at the 2016 election, they came out and made a promise that they will build a hostel for Kayai, they will build some factories in our district so that the Kayai people can learn some works so that they will not come to the southern sector here. And if you go to north, there's not any factory in the northern region which they will say that they've built this factory just to ease the work of Kayai. And the hostel that they said they are going to build, there's not any block laying down showing that they are building a hostel for Kayai in Ashanti region or Ghana as a whole. And if you look at what MPP has been saying to us, always they used to tell us, but looking at the registration that we're going to register, they came out to tell us that we are not citizens of this nation and we are not residents of Asawasi here again. So they should challenge our people for them not to register.
Clearly, this man doesn't really meant what he said, that he was fighting corruption. Because he has spent...
But Member of Parliament for Asawasi constituency, Muntaka Muhammad Mubarak, urges them to take back the respect they earned to the ruling government in 2016.
Is that when somebody does not honor the respect you gave him, you take it back. Let's take it back and let's show Nana and any MPP government in future that when you come and treat Ashanti region the way he has treated Ashanti region, they will not just go vote him on the simple altar, we are MPP. They will wise up. And I believe our people in Ashanti region have wised up. Thank you very much. We are really very grateful for your time.
Mohammed Mubarak says 4 more for Nana means 4 more to waste.
If Nana says he needs 4 more to do more, in actual sense he's saying we should give him 4 more to waste more. And Ghanaians, I don't think we are ready for that. Because for Ashanti region, as it's coming, this week or next week, we are yet to see as he starts going around what he will be commissioning. Because I know that what is going to be easy for him is to be cutting sword. But remember, he has already gotten 4 years. And I am going to remind my people in Ashanti region, when the man needed you to vote for him again, he didn't do much for you. You think that when he will not need your vote again, that's when he will do more? I doubt it.
A report by Mohammed Nuruddin.
What do the manifestos of the 2 major political parties have to say about headquarters? What's their plan for the headquarters? Let's start with the NDC. Well, the NDC says, we'll start with the MPP, says reduction of levies imposed on Kayaye by local authorities. Also, Kayaye have been exempted from market tolls, which means that they won't be paying market tolls again. The NDC says they will raise the levels of numeracy, literacy, self-esteem, and responsible citizenship by extending opportunities to market women, commercial drivers, laborers, and headquarters. That's where they come in. The headquarters, Kayaye, through an extended complementary basic education based on more flexible school hours. So they'll educate, the Kayayi. They say also that they will introduce skills training and social assistance programs through the National Apprenticeship Program, the NAP, to the Kayayi and their source communities. They will also implement the programs targeting street children, including Kayayis, the vulnerable and unemployed youth, and also create a safe environment for street children, including Kayayis, because we know that Kayayis, most of them sleep outside, so they sleep in the open. So they're saying they'll create a safe environment for them by providing safe accommodation for them. They will also provide income support to the Kayayis during humanitarian emergencies and crises. So if there's rainfall or any other environmental issues, they will provide them with some form of income support. And they will also ensure automatic registration onto the NHIS for those living in emergency disaster areas. They will ensure that these people are registered onto the NHIS. That's for the NDC. Let's come to the MPP. And the MPP says the reduction of levies imposed by Kayayi, as I indicated earlier, they will reduce the levies imposed on the Kayayi by local authorities. And by local authorities, probably the market heads and the like. And also, they've been exempted, as we said, from market tolls. Now, Deputy Minister of Interior, Henry Korte, says in spite of the potential threats which could mark the conduct of the upcoming elections, security agencies are well prepared to deal with any unforeseen situations. According to the minister, elections in Ghana are usually characterized by physical attacks and insults, which often result in violence. Speaking earlier Wednesday at the launch of the National Response Group set up to recommend strategies to violent threats on December 7, Mr. Korte assured of government's efforts in safeguarding the peace of the country.
In spite of the seemingly threats to the conduct of elections in Ghana, Ghana is a shining example within the West Africa sub-region. This feat has been possible due to the crucial role of the independence of the Electoral Commission to conduct credible elections. The decisively actions by the police to maintain election security and the resolve of political parties and Ghanaians to adhere to the principles of competitive and democratic elections. However, the impending December 2020 presidential and parliamentary elections are not insulated from threats and risk. At the core of elections in Ghana are protests, physical attacks, violent communications, and the use of vigilantes which continue to heighten tensions ahead of the elections. This year in particular, we cannot underestimate the risk of peace that can emerge from the compounded negative impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic. We therefore have to jealously guard the democratic gains Ghana has accrued over the years. Ghana is a shining example when it comes to democracy and stability. The government, and for that matter, the Ministry of National Security, encourage every citizen and institution in the country to remain committed to Ghana's quest to sustain its well-earned credentials of holding successful, inclusive, credible, and peaceful elections.
You're still here on Election Brief with me, Araba Kumsi. Now, less than 72 hours after the alleged fight between presidential staffer Charles Bisu and Tarkwa and Suayem MP George Mirkuduka, pictures of the former with his face swollen have been circulating on social media. The trending photos also show Mr. Bisu with a bloodied eye, which is forced open. JoyNews sources say the fight between the two MPP politicians occurred at the Kingston Hotel in Takoradi during a workshop for regional executives and parliamentary candidates. According to sources, Mr. Mirkuduka and Charles Bisu have not been on good terms since the latter allegedly supported an independent candidate over the incumbent during the parliamentary primaries. The sources further indicate that during the meeting, there was a misunderstanding between the NP and the regional party executive. Ina Thalia Kwanzaa is our Western Regional correspondent. She joins us on the phone with details. Ina, so what have your sources been telling you about how all this went down?
Yes, sir. So my sources say that there was a meeting last Monday where National Executive Regional, like people were there discussing how they were going to search forward in coming 7 December. So it was at this point that Mr. Mrekuduka had earlier on raised an issue of Mr. Charles Bissiu supporting an independent candidate who had earlier on filed for MPP but was disqualified. He had raised the issue earlier, but at that particular meeting, he raised it again. He was given a chance to speak, and then Mr. Bissiu was also given a chance to speak. So it was during when he was speaking that it became an issue. They didn't understand themselves. So Mr. Bissiu, my source says Mr. Bissiu was the first person to have gone to slap Mr. Mrekuduka, and then he also returned with a slap. It went on for some time, a heated fight between the two of them. They didn't know what happened, but before they realized that one of the fingers, the right fingers of Mr. Mrekuduka, had been bitten off by Mr. Bissiu. However, I have an access to an audio. In the audio, Mr. Bissiu was saying earlier in the audio that he didn't do that. But when in the audio, the person went on to say that he has spoken to Mr. Mrekuduka, who had confirmed that he indeed bit off his finger. He said, well, he also have some injuries and he has also been to the hospital. But he doesn't want to come out with any of these information to the public. On the other hand, Mr. Mrekuduka also said indeed his finger was bitten off. He had been to Jemima Hospital to seek medical attention.
What is the party leadership in the region, especially saying about this incident?
Well, but they have told both Mr. Mrekuduka and Mr. Bissiu not to comment on this, since this may tarnish their reputation, especially when we are in the election year. They've spoken to them. So for now, when you try to get to speak to any of the leadership of the NPP in the Western region, they are tight-lipped. They do not want to comment about this issue. I have seen a picture of Mr. Mrekuduka, and he looks very fine, except that you see a bandage on his finger, which is alleged to have been bitten by Mr. Bissiu.
And we also understand that, you know, the Council of Elders has asked both men not to speak to the issue. In essence, they shouldn't be washing their dirty linen in public. Is that the case?
Sure, but they've asked them not to speak about it. I have personally tried calling some executives, and when you call them, most of them have declined. Most of them are even saying they were not there at Kensal when it happened. So it confirms that they have been advised not to speak on the issue.
All right, Ina Thalia Kwanzaa, thank you so much for those details. And that story is making the rounds in the media, on social media and traditional media as well. I head on to my joyonline.com. There's more news there. Now, the Electoral Commission says no more than 700 people will be allowed at one polling station on election day. According to the Commission, in places where voters exceed this number, they'll be categorized into two groups. Deputy Chairperson of the Commission, Dr. Bosman Eric Asari, explains this is part of the Commission's measures aimed at reducing queues and putting people at risk of COVID-19. He was speaking at the Star Ghana Election 2020 Grant Partners Learning Event. More in this report by Nicholas Yamwa, read to you.
In less than 75 days, Ghana would be going to the polls to elect a new president. The first time Ghana will be voting in a pandemic. There is bound to be long queues, a phenomenon the Electoral Commission says it wants to avoid. Dr. Bosman Asare is Deputy Chairperson of the Commission.
Ahead of the 2020 elections, the Commission is not relenting. We are still strengthening and ensuring that everything is done properly. In 2016, the threshold for each polling station was a maximum of 850. In other words, no polling station exceeded 850 in 2016. But because of the pandemic in 2020, this is what the Commission is doing. The Commission is saying that the maximum that will be allowed at each polling station will be 700. In other words, this registration we undertook Any registration center that has more than 700 people, we are going to split them into A and B.
For students and security personnel who registered at posts different from their original voting centers, transfer will be done next month.
Transfers will be allowed for only students and for those who are serving in the security agencies. Because during the registration, some security personnel from Accra were policing the registration in other parts of the country. The transfer will be allowed for the all other security agencies similarly situated. And apart from that, some of the students, we also noticed that they registered when they were in their schools. So transfers are limited. And this transfer, the committee is looking at the transfer taking place. Transfers normally.
It's time for Voters' Voice, and today we are at the Ododo constituency. Let's hear what they have to say.
What vote, dan e ba se ne no. Se agbene ko yin o so egbe ajake moko ye ene yo bu ajejo yo. Na ma me yo power. Kaka bo pe e ba fe su ake ba plabo. Aha ma wo kajabe na bon register mo. Ba nye ma bi ase. Ka tu ni bi ye ma na mi. Ka aka waje me. Ba na register moko tashi. Eye prem ba mama agba telephone bi la kan chebo unu tumo otua kolo e kam na won bio ni kam challenge bo aja ka ni wota se won kwa no fi ano e kam me na ye ji o kanya ba anu na ka mokowo waya me no na te no ne ba e waya me no ne te no ne ba e waya me waya me why me no nete no neighbor why me
Inke floor engo fonana therefore yes floor engo fonana ya no akemo fiamu binila tenke inke floor engo fonana ejake 4 years ni pa ko iye do ake e ba na che abatu sila anu chumu 4 years ni pa ko e ba na abatu sempe nu chumu.
We need peace and unity. We are all here to do what is right. But as now, what is going on? It's not fair. If you pass here, people are passing you, pass here, they are fighting here and there. We are not here to fight. We need peace and unity.
God, the James Town, fishing about no Benjamin fat. What for what Tabiani, Nibanaka, Akufado, I met my cat sword, Najaluchi Moshi, or Benjamin fat. Fat, or Temna 3, when you know Yakuto name, no, or get form or Yakuto name. I'm a circle overhead. Skanaka ma circle overhead, which I know when I come up Poquase. Interchange na fio. Mene kuma connection.
Correct. Etiako.
Kebo che libi come.
Etiako. If I know you tama bilake. Pokwase na me lobby ska keba. Sani no. I get scan ba. Scan na keba na ke tuoni. Pokwase na mo lobby ska keba.
Lobby.
Inshallah na catch so there. They akufu ado first ni jisisi.
Mene
kufu ni ba de sword catch mo sisi ejeme. Ni kufu government ehu. Afi no kono. Ni tu aka mini. Ata o ska ka mashomo.
Ana mo ata o.
O mbra.
Ana mo ata o.
Keska ko be bia me ni ga ba bia ma ke. Ani na ko keska ba.
Ofane ke o ata o ska ko. Ni oba catch so there. Dikasa no o ana ajenu tumonji. Sure, ata scan je go lutu mo no okay.
Over nephew. I got 3 months. FA project. Onye no tasi ni 3 months no I got ofe ne ke ne.
Mene ni ga wo you there. Ke e bi SSS e bi benefit your free SHS.
Kwe. Na kan la be na kan la because we never put mo fe money lay. I started free SHS, JMO, then Akufu Aduba. Call Liana Chobu. I feel a pilot system, then Akufu Aduba.
I free SHS, but
Nagana Johnny. I can't pilot, but I can't piloting. No, about Debbie Abaka, Nine, a benefit man, Danny, about me a few, I get more family.
ena ese si oni otesi dabi dey problem
ame nandu kwale ame sumo na ame yo afa free SHS nyeke ba no when this no when okay ba
abafo siki ajondo mani mama
ovane batwe mo femu ni ba domo adekami ne vote en ni lante vanna boy ke jo mama be mo ko nupa jile tawo bi no ya eja ke akakufado efashikapo minkabu e bia ne 4 years na akufado your free SHS shika ekoni over ne light bill free water bill free over ne as a Ghanaian no ye light bill free water bill free vote for more for Nanado Panama ye bia ne minkabo Panama by election.
Panama will never be MP.
Neil and Tavana boy. Former. John.
Wow. Interesting coming there from Ododododo. And you saw the last one. They are twins, but they're on different sides. And it's like I say all the time, we agree to disagree. It's not a fight. And that's how we wrap up Election Brief for today. I'm Arbor Kumson. Let's do this again tomorrow, same time. Keep watching Joy News.